to welcome you all to my workshop on eating for pleasure. Today I will be defining what mindful eating is. I will be giving you some guidelines on how to incorporate it into your daily life, and I will also discuss some of its benefits. Last time I was here, I gave a demonstration on how to pack a guilt-free lunch. In order to help you all understand more about intuitive eating and to empower you all to adopt it into your lives. Well, mindful eating goes hand in hand with intuitive eating. And just in case some of you missed my last lecture on intuitive eating is a nutritional approach that creates a healthy relationship between the individual, their food, their mind, and their body. And since my last presentation, I'm not sure if any of you have tried to implement intuitive eating into your lifestyle, but if you have, you may have found that it can be pretty difficult, especially if you have been dieting for a large part of your life. There's a lot of emotions that come up when you begin to allow yourself to have foods that you enjoy. There can be a lot of like self-judgment, doubt, worry. There can be some anxiety and a lot of guilt for allowing yourself to have food you enjoy. But fortunately, it doesn't always have to be that way. And today I will be providing you with some tools and some facts that will give you the confidence to continue your journey of rediscovering and allowing yourself to eat for pleasure. So, I'm going to define mindful eating, and mindful eating has two components. The first component is paying attention to your personal experience with food. So you're going to be paying attention to thoughts that may be coming up, to emotions, and to any feelings that may be coming up as you're eating food. You also want to pay attention to any sensory information that may be coming up. So you want to pay attention to the colors of the food that you're eating, the texture, any flavors, tastes. It's more about being present with your experience with food rather than just eating and not really thinking about what you're doing at that moment. Additionally, it helps you focus on your hunger and fullness level. The second component of mindful eating is creating a suitable environment. So you want to make sure that when you eat, you're sitting down. You want to make sure you're free from distraction. You have a well-proportioned plate of food or snack. You don't want to be eating out of a bag or out of a box. And you want to avoid eating while having a highly emotional conversation, because it'll be really difficult to focus on your food if you're just focused on your difficult conversation. So now I'm going to talk about, I want to give you some examples first of the types of environments you don't want to eat in. I know it's very common in our very busy lifestyles to eat while driving and to eat on the couch and eat while watching television, but these are not going to allow you to focus on the present task that you're doing, which is eating. You're going to be focused more on the entertaining television or on not running somebody over. So you want to make sure that you don't eat while you're doing those things. So now I'll talk about some of the benefits. The first benefit is that you get to enjoy food. And the enjoyment of food can be it's something that can be culturally encouraged. Like I know that in Japan, all activities pertaining to food and eating are pleasurable activities. In America, it's a little different because of the dieting industry and just the negative associations that people have with certain foods. There can be a lot of feelings of guilt and shame that can be triggered when you're eating something, and there's also a fear of losing control when you're eating something that you like. And oftentimes what people do, instead of eating what they really like, is they'll go for something that's kind of like a fancy food, or a food that's gonna kind of quell your cravings for what you really want, like a sugar-free cookie or a fat-free dressing rather than the Caesar dressing that you would really want to eat. And what ends up happening is that you end up eating more calories than you would have if you would have eaten the food that you really wanted. I was recently talking to a woman, and she told me that when she eats sugar-free cookies, she ends up eating a lot more because she doesn't have the guilt attached to that experience. Whereas if she eats like a regular cookie, she'll keep it limited to one or two. And she did say that it was because of the guilt. So if you start to eat mindfully, you will begin to enjoy the food that you eat because you're going to be eating what you like. Another benefit is that mindful eating you want to eat slow through the process in order to kind of take in the sensory information. So what ends up happening is you end up consuming less food. And the reason that is because you're allowing your stomach to give your brain the information. You're allowing enough time for that to happen. It takes 20 minutes for your stomach to tell your brain that you're full, that you've had enough. So with mindful eating, you will end up consuming less food. Also, it's easier to detect when you've had enough because you're going to be checking in with yourself, checking in with your hunger and fullness level. So when just as by default with mindful eating, you end up living a lifetime of weight control without dieting. It's not about excluding anything. It's mostly about, eating. It's about knowing what you like and believing that you have the right to enjoy these foods. It's not about excluding cheeseburgers. You want to incorporate those things. You can eat a cheeseburger mindfully. You can eat a piece of raisin or a chocolate mindfully. All these things can be done. And because most of the time with the heavy dieting that goes on, people end up yo-yo. Their weight throughout the years goes up and down, and metabolism is affected, and just a lot of other factors. So with mindful eating, your weight is more stable. So on your tables, you guys have these 2 cups on there, and in there I have some food for you guys to practice eating mindfully together as a class. So if you guys want to go ahead and get the cups and go ahead and choose whatever you would like to have for this experience. So right now we're going to practice mindful eating. And you can just keep it to one of whatever is in there. And we put extra in the cup so that you guys can have some after if you want more. But just for the purpose of the exercise, I want you guys to just keep it to a small piece of food. And so right now, before we start, I just want you guys to keep in mind what I told you guys about mindful eating. Make sure that you want to make sure that you focus on textures, colors, the flavors, any thoughts that may be coming up, any judgment about the food that you're gonna eat. Just be very mindful of that. And I'll give you guys about a minute to do this. So go ahead and you can close your eyes if you want to, if that'll make you feel more comfortable. Is everybody about done with their So now we're gonna kind of have like a discussion as a class, and I want you to just share whatever you feel comfortable sharing, and just be open to letting us all know what this experience is like. So would anyone like to share with the first subtopic? They were able to focus on the different flavors and textures of the chocolate and maybe give some examples.
The chocolate, when I first put it in my mouth, I noticed it felt really smooth, and then kind of like when I started eating
any food myths or judgments about what you guys ate during the experience? Did anybody have that come up to them?
Well, I don't know if it's a food myth, but I found out like when you read certain facts and chips, and you're like, I want you just can't have one, and then we all just have one.
Yeah.
And it's just like food myth.
That's funny. That's true. Anybody else want to share? Go ahead.
I have like a guilty thing about eating chips because of what you say. Like you can't really just have one, so I don't even want to have one.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna want to eat the whole cup.
Yeah. That's what happens. That's why mindful eating is important, because you get to, like, if you allow yourself to have it and focus on the flavors, it's a slower process. It's not, and a lot of times too, I find that when people feel guilty, they'll go through it faster just to get the experience through it. So if you take your time, maybe it might be a different experience. And I'll move on to my last question. Does anybody believe that they can incorporate mindful eating into their life? Doesn't have to be as exaggerated as this was, but just slow it down. Would anybody be open? Okay. All right. Well, I want to thank you all for being so open to sharing and to doing this exercise with me. And I really hope that you guys will begin to start eating for pleasure. Thank you all. And does anybody have any questions? Okay. All right. Thank you.